The world around us is full of relics of the past, where life once existed but now only ruins and ghosts of time remain. Abandoned cities immersed in absolute silence become reminders of what once was but is now gone. These are not only creepy tourist destinations, but also places that carry mysterious, painful stories, and sometimes the collapse of an entire civilization. Welcome to the first part of the journey to discover ghost cities around the world, where we will gradually uncover the mysteries of forgotten cities and reveal the stories behind their disappearance. 1. Pripyat, Ukraine. Have you ever imagined that an entire city could disappear overnight, where the once bustling streets are now filled with deathly silence? Pripyat, Ukraine, is proof of that. Pripyat was once a bustling city, built in 1970 to accommodate the workers and their families at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant. At its peak, it had a population of over 50,000, with schools, hospitals, amusement parks, and all the amenities of a thriving community. But then, on April 26, 1986, a terrible event occurred when an explosion at Chernobyl's reactor number 4 left the area heavily contaminated with radiation. Within hours of the explosion, the residents of Pripyat were told to evacuate. They were told to take only the essentials, as they were promised they would return within a few days. But they never did. The city was abandoned, becoming a dead zone with high levels of radiation that made it difficult for any life to survive. Today, Pripyat is a haunted city filled with abandoned buildings, amusement parks with rusted merry-go-rounds, and classrooms with abandoned books on desks where time seems to stand still. The story of Pripyat is not only about nuclear disaster, but also a tragic reminder of the potential dangers of technology when used carelessly. Pripyat is a symbol of nuclear destruction and a warning about the power of nature over man. The city will forever stand as a stark reminder of the price paid when humans fail to respect and control the power they create. 2. Centralia, Pennsylvania, USA. Have you ever imagined that there is a city where the ground is always on fire? Centralia, Pennsylvania is such a place. Centralia was once a bustling coal mining town in Pennsylvania, USA, but in 1962, a fire broke out in an underground coal mine and has never gone out since. The fire burned underground for more than 60 years, and smoke and toxic gases occasionally spewed out from cracks in the ground, making Centralia an uninhabitable place. Initially, the residents of Centralia were unaware of the severity of the fire and continued to live here for many years. But when toxic smoke and small explosions began to appear more frequently, the authorities were forced to order the entire population to be evacuated. Today, Centralia has only a few residents trying to hold on, but most of the town has been abandoned. The crumbling buildings, the cracked streets of underground collapses, and the smoky air have turned Centralia into a veritable ghost town. The story of Centralia is not only a tale of industrial disaster, but also a warning about the powerful impact of humans on the environment. Centralia is a symbol of the devastation caused by humans interfering too deeply with nature. The underground fires have turned it into a ghost town, a reminder that there are consequences that can last forever. 3. Oradour-sur-Glane, France. Oradour-sur-Glane, once the embodiment of peace, has become a tragic symbol of the brutality of war. On June 10, 1944, as World War II was raging, a horrific event occurred in the village of Oradour-sur-Glane, France. The Nazis attacked the village, capturing and killing over 600 innocent people, including women and children. The village was then completely burned down, and within hours, Oradour-sur-Glane went from a peaceful place to a place of death. After the war, the French government decided not to rebuild the village. Instead, Oradour-sur-Glane was left as it was, as a reminder of the brutality of war and a memorial to the innocent victims. The ruins of the village, from burned-out cars to ruined houses, still remain as a trace of history. Today, Oradour-sur-Glane is one of the most important places in France to remember the victims of war, and also a reminder to humanity of the horrors of violence and destruction. Oradour-sur-Glane is a symbol of the pain and loss of war. The ruins of this village are not only evidence of the brutality of history, but also a powerful reminder of the yearning for peace. 4. Cocco, Italy. Cocco, a small village in southern Italy, is known as the ghost town on the mountain. But what led to its abandonment? Cocco was built on a rocky cliff, with majestic views surrounded by valleys and hills. During the Middle Ages, the village was a strong fortress and a bustling commercial center, but its collapse began in the 1960s. Frequent earthquakes and landslides made Cocco's foundation unstable, and the people were forced to evacuate the village they had lived in for centuries. Today, Cocco is still there, but not a soul in sight. The ancient buildings and narrow streets still stand as a picture of a bygone era, but they are slowly being taken over by nature. With its unique location and fascinating history, Cocco has become a popular destination for film crews and adventurers. Cocco is a classic example of man's helplessness in the face of nature. Despite its history and majestic architecture, the village was eventually defeated by natural disasters, becoming a ghost town hanging on the cliffs. 5. Hashima, Japan. An island of towering skyscrapers in the middle of the Sea of Japan, Hashima is now a ruined and deserted ghost island. Once a symbol of industrial prosperity, Hashima is now a ruin and deserted ruin. Hashima is also known as Gunkanjima, or Battleship Island, because of its shape, which resembles a battleship floating in the ocean. It was once Japan's leading coal mining center, and in the 1950s, more than 5,000 people lived and worked there. Managed by the Mitsubishi Corporation, the island flourished with high-rise apartment buildings, schools, hospitals, and even a theater, all built to serve the workers and their families. However, in the 1970s, coal was gradually replaced by oil, and the mines on the island were gradually depleted. In 1974, Mitsubishi decided to close the mining operations, and the entire island was abandoned within days. Since then, Hashima has become a ghost island, with high-rise concrete buildings gradually collapsing and being invaded by nature. Strong storms have damaged many structures, creating a scene of ruin and desolation. The mysterious and gloomy feeling of this island has attracted the attention of many photographers and filmmakers. Today, Hashima Island is a popular tourist destination and was also featured in the film James Bond Skyfall. However, much of the island is still off limits due to the dangerous condition and severe deterioration of the buildings. Hashima is a testament to the dependence and impact of humans on natural resources. When coal was no longer valuable, an entire island and its community fell into decline. Today, Hashima exists as a crumbling industrial relic and a creepy tourist attraction in the middle of the ocean. 6. Pyramiden, Norway. Amid the eternal ice of Norway's Svalbard archipelago lies an abandoned city of grand buildings and old Soviet architecture. Pyramiden, once the Soviet Union's coal mining hub, is now a ghost town frozen in time. Pyramiden was founded in the early 20th century and was purchased by the Soviet Union from Sweden in 1927. To serve its coal mining operations in this icy region, the Soviet Union invested heavily in the city's construction. At its peak, Pyramiden had a population of around 1,000, with apartment buildings, schools, a theater, and even a sports center. It was one of the northernmost human settlements, surrounded by snow and ice, and with long winters. However, in the late 1990s, a decline in coal demand and the difficulty of maintaining operations in a harsh environment like Svalbard led the Soviet, later Russian, government to withdraw from Pyramiden. In 1998, the entire population of the city was evacuated, and Pyramiden was abandoned. Today, Pyramiden still retains traces of its past. Old Soviet buildings still stand, with portraits of Lenin and other Soviet symbols, creating a surreal scene in the icy landscape. The apartment buildings, library, and theater are slowly decaying and covered in snow. Despite its abandonment, Pyramiden remains a popular tourist destination for ghost town enthusiasts. Pyramiden is a unique ghost town with a deep Soviet imprint in the middle of the cold snow and ice. Its existence is a testament to the efforts to exploit natural resources in the harshest places on Earth, and its decline is a remnant of a bygone era. 7. Colemanskop, Namibia. How did a city that was once a diamond mining hub end up being swallowed by the desert and turned into a ghost town? Colemanskop, once a thriving diamond mining hub, is now just a collection of crumbling buildings and sand-filled corridors. Colemanskop was founded in the early 20th century when Namibia was a German colony, and it quickly became a promising diamond mining hub. People flocked to the area in hopes of making a fortune from diamonds found right on the ground. Colemanskop developed rapidly with modern amenities such as hospitals, schools, casinos, and even a theater. However, after World War II ended and the area's diamond reserves began to run out, Colemanskop gradually lost its appeal. People migrated to new lands in the hope of finding diamonds elsewhere. In the 1950s, Colemanskop was officially abandoned, and the Namib Desert began to encroach on the entire town. Today, Colemanskop is one of Namibia's most popular tourist destinations, but it is also a symbol of the decline of an economy dependent on natural resources. Abandoned houses with windows and hallways filled with sand create a mysterious, surreal scene. Time in the desert have turned Colemanskop into a ghost town that seems to be slowly being swallowed by nature. Colemanskop is a classic example of human dependence on natural resources and helplessness in the face of nature. Although once a thriving center, the city was eventually erased from memory by the Namib Desert, leaving behind ghostly ruins in the hot sand. 8. Bodi, California. Bodi, one of America's most famous ghost towns, once symbolized the gold rush dreams of the Wild West. But now it's just a deserted town of empty wooden houses and deserted streets. Bodi was founded in 1859 when gold was discovered in the area. Over the years, it grew into a thriving gold mining town with a population of more than 10,000. Wooden buildings quickly sprung up with bars, casinos, hotels, and even illegal businesses. But Bodi was not an ideal place to live. The gold miners there faced harsh and dangerous living conditions, including cold weather and violence due to competition for resources. Bodi quickly became a town known for violent conflicts and crime. By the late 19th century, as the gold reserves were depleted and the economy tanked, Bodi began to fall into disrepair. Residents gradually left for new opportunities, and by the 1940s, Bodi was officially abandoned. The town became a symbol of the failed gold rush in the Wild West. Today, Bodi is a popular tourist destination and is preserved as a historical park. Wooden buildings still stand in the wilderness, giving the place a sense of time standing still. Bodi is a testament to the harshness of life in the Wild West and the consequences of the gold rush. Although once a bustling and promising place, the town was eventually abandoned, becoming one of the most famous ghost towns in the United States. 9. Ryly, Nevada. Ryly, located in the middle of the Nevada desert, is one of the famous ghost towns of the American West. The town had great potential but was abandoned after less than 10 years. Ryly was founded in 1905 when large gold deposits were discovered in the area. The town quickly became a center of gold mining and flourished with banks, restaurants, bars, and even a theater. Ryly's population quickly grew to thousands, and the town's future seemed promising. However, Ryly's growth was too rapid and unsustainable. After only a few years, the gold mines were exhausted, and the town's economy collapsed. By 1910, the population had dwindled to just a few hundred people, and by 1916, Ryly was officially abandoned. Large brick and concrete structures were left in the desert, creating a desolate and eerie scene. Today, Ryly still stands with dilapidated buildings and dusty roads. Although no longer inhabited, the ghost town still attracts thousands of visitors each year who come to explore its Western heritage and learn about Ryly's rapid decline. Ryly is a classic example of the rise and fall of mining towns in the American West. Once a thriving hub, it quickly fell into disrepair, becoming one of Nevada's most famous ghost towns. 10. Kayakoy, Turkey. Kayakoy, an abandoned village in Turkey, carries within it the tragic story of its people displaced during the population exchange between Greece and Turkey. Kayakoy, formerly a small village with a predominantly Greek population, is located in the Lycia region of southern Turkey. In the early 20th century, The Greek and Turkish communities lived in harmony in Kayakoy until the outbreak of the Greco-Turkish War, 1919 to 1922. After the war, the two countries signed a population exchange agreement in 1923, according to which millions of Greeks in Turkey and Turks in Greece were forced to emigrate back to their home countries. Because of this agreement, the entire Greek community in Kayakoy had to leave the village that had been with them for generations. Since then, Kayakoy has been completely abandoned, and the ancient houses and churches are still intact, but no one lives there. Today, Kayakoy has become a popular tourist destination, but the sad scenery and historical stories behind it still haunt visitors. The silence and desolate beauty of Kayakoy create a feeling of both mystery and heartbreak. Kayakoy is not just a ghost town, but also a symbol of political upheaval and historical tragedy. The abandoned houses still stand, silent witnesses to a bygone era when entire communities were forced to flee their homeland. Ghost cities around the world are the remnants of great dreams and inevitable failures. Each has its own story, from gold mining towns in the American West to desert cities in Namibia or Japan. Even though they are abandoned, these ghost cities remain as living proof of the rise and fall of civilizations and of man's helplessness in the face of time and nature.